It was a wild night at Dodger Stadium. Shohei Ohtani bobblehead night. There was long lines. There was a dog first pitch. There was a home run by Shohei Ohtani, and there was a pretty good, decent Walker Buehler. Let's get into it. Let's get locked on Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, Dodger fans. Welcome to Locked On Dodgers. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one local sports daily podcast network. Locked On, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. This is the daily podcast covering the Los Angeles Dodgers, bringing you the smart fans' perspective on our boys in blue. You can find us wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube. All you got to do is search for Locked On Dodgers. You can make that easy on yourself by subscribing and get notified when our episodes are ready or when we're going live like we are here on Wednesday nights. If this is your first time listening or watching, welcome. My name is Vincent Perio. That dark square to my left, maybe to your right, is Jeff Snyder driving home from Dodger Stadium. Jeff and I are both lifelong Dodger fans that have covered the team in a few different ways for about a decade now. This podcast for over half that decade. We've talked a lot of Dodgers. We've seen a lot of Dodgers. We've written about the Dodgers. We've been in the press box, been in the locker room. So we're here to bring all that knowledge and all those thoughts to you and hopefully making everyone better Dodger fans in the process. So let's get into it. As I mentioned, Jeff is on his way home from Dodger Stadium. He was at Bobblehead night. If you were watching the game and you knew that Jeff was sitting back there, you would have seen him. If not, you unwittingly saw Jeff pretty much the entire game because he was sitting right behind home plate. A better view with left-handed batter at the plate, but still a view there with the right-handed batter at the plate. So, yeah, Jeff, you got a lot of TV time today.
Yeah, this is a couple firsts for us. We've never done an episode with one of us driving before, and I've never driven home from Dodger Stadium going the speed limit before. But I decided to mix things up today since we are, I'm not looking at my phone. I am just talking. But yeah, it was a fun game. Obviously, a great view sitting in Dennis Gilbert's seats right behind home plate. It was a lot of fun, and just the whole atmosphere of that game was really, really cool tonight.
I've been muted this whole time. Okay, so talking about Dodger Stadium, talking about the hysteria that was, talking about Shohei Ohtani bobblehead. We had we had fans lined up starting from like 11 a.m. And then kind of moving forward from there. The lines continue to get longer and longer and longer. Jeff, you were part of that. You were part of the entire process that was Shohei Ohtani bobblehead night. I know you had a smooth process, but what did you think, or what did you get the feeling from seeing this, and especially since you weren't at the first one?
Yeah, it was smooth, all things considered, but I got to the stadium at just after 1 p.m., so 6 hours before game time, and 2 hours before, or hour and a half before they ended up opening up the parking lot gates, there were hundreds of cars in front of me in line. It was crazy, but yeah, then they did open them up. They opened the parking lot gates at 2:45, and things were smooth. Like, we got in pretty quickly, and then the lines seemed to work. I don't know. Have you seen, Vince, reports of people being upset at not getting a bobblehead? Because I had a theory going in that they might secretly make extras, make more than last time, because Like if I was running the PR side of things, I'd say, okay, let's still announce 40,000, but let's make 54,000, so we get all the hype of limited edition, but none of the bad press of I paid that much for a ticket and didn't even get a bobblehead. Have you heard of people not getting them?
I personally didn't see anything. I did see one person I know. They posted on Instagram that they got there at 6:20 and still got a bobblehead. So I got to imagine that was something they did because, and maybe, I was gonna say maybe that's where the gold ones came in, but I think there's only like I saw 1,700 maybe of the gold ones. So yeah, I think that's something the Dodgers did because I didn't see, especially after last time when there was so many complaints and so many people saying they couldn't get bobbleheads or they didn't get a bobblehead or why are they paying dynamic pricing and still not guaranteed to get a bobblehead. I definitely didn't see any of that today. I'm not sure if there was, but for someone to get in at 6:20 when last time the bobbleheads ran out almost closer, 5:30, 5:45, probably your theory might be right.
Yeah, and if so, that's a huge marketing win for the Dodgers. That's the way to do it. Under promise, over deliver. So I like to think that's what happened anyway. But yeah, it was a smooth process. It was just exciting for everybody. There wasn't, even when you're sitting in the line, it's like, it wasn't, oh, this is awful. What are they doing? It was, this is fun. We're all part of a shared hype experience, and that's kind of fun,
Yeah, it's one of those where I think back to 2013, even 2014, those first couple years where the Dodgers were back in the postseason after not being in the postseason for a while. I think it's kind of similar to that where you have a lot of people there. This was obviously specifically for a bobblehead, but you have people there to well, maybe not everyone was there to watch the Dodgers. Some people were there to collect bobbleheads, but either way, like you had a lot of people there. Stadium being that crowded before first pitch and in that first, like how many people saw that Shohei Ohtani home run that maybe wouldn't have seen that Shohei Ohtani home run on a regular night? And as much as it's not a knock on like Dodger fans, like the third inning, seventh inning thing. It's more of a matter of, it's a 7:00 game. And in order to try and get that bobblehead for yourself, you're trying to get there earlier than normal, which means you're taking off work, leaving work early, going straight from work, whatever it is. So, yeah, hopefully that is what the Dodgers did. Maybe moving forward, while the lines and everything else is probably, the Dodgers salivating at people getting into the stadium 3 hours ahead of game time, maybe Ohtani moving forward might just be an all stadium giveaway.
Yeah, I think so. And after the last bobblehead, that's what I said. I said what they ought to do: make enough for everybody, open the gates earlier, get people in, and just have a huge event. And that seems to be what they did. Wow, big old accident on the freeway that I just drove past. That explains why traffic was slow. Somebody got munched up pretty hard. Glad it wasn't me because I am driving responsibly. But yeah, it was fun, Vince. It was a fun game to be at.
Yeah, obviously the win makes up for it, or makes up part of that. Ohtani homering, Ohtani with a couple stolen bases. He's now at 42-42. But before we get into more game specifics, one last part of just the Ohtani bobblehead night was the first pitch from Decoy, the dog that was featured with Ohtani in the bobblehead. He took the ball at the mound and then ran it straight to Ohtani and got the treat for it. After the game, Ohtani said they asked him how long it took him to train Decoy to do that. He said 3 weeks. They also mentioned on the broadcast that Ohtani came on Monday when the Dodgers had an off day to practice to make sure everything was right. And then Ohtani after the game mentioned that he was more nervous for that first pitch than maybe Decoy was.
Yeah, is anybody surprised that even Shohei's dog is perfect? Like, it was the best first pitch ever. First pitch is usually a non-event. It's somebody, and all right, so cool. Somebody's kid or somebody's mom or somebody's girlfriend threw out a pitch. A dog, like, and just how perfectly he sat on the mound. And then Shohei said, "All right, bring me the ball." And it was perfect. It was. I love Shohei. I love Decoy. It was awesome.
Yeah. So there was a baseball game after all that. Mentioned Shohei Ohtani's homer. Walker Buehler got on the mound. Teo Hernandez had a big home run. We'll get into game specifics now, so make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by Liquid IV. if you are someone that enjoys a cold treat during the summer, and if you are someone that wants to stay hydrated, then Liquid IV has got you covered in two different ways, because they have the popsicle firecracker flavor, which is a surefire summer hit, and they have all the essential nutrients, electrolytes, and essential vitamins that you need to stay hydrated. Liquid IV is here for you to bring you what you need in terms of hydration and make it taste good. Some people maybe don't like just water by itself. Maybe some people want more hydration or better hydration, or want those nutrients, want those vitamins, want those electrolytes, but don't want to get all the sugary drinks that maybe are out there. That's what Liquid IV is here for. Tear, pour, live more. One stick and 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. And how do they do that? Well, it's powered by LIV Hydroscience, an optimized ratio of those electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. Maybe the popsicle firecracker flavor is not for you, but you can go to liquidiv.com and check out all the flavors they have, from acai berry and lemon lime to pina colada. Remember, they have 3 times electrolytes of leading sports drinks, 8 essential vitamins and nutrients, and always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. No more thirsty summers when you indulge in the hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code MLB at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Had you wanted to attend the Shohei Ohtani Bobblehead night, you could have used Game Time to get you the best deal and the best prices on tickets to head into the game, because Game Time single getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier, because Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Make sure to go check out and download the Game Time app to check out those Game Time Picks and take advantage of their all-in pricing, getting seat views from where you're going to sit in the venue, and their lowest price guarantee, which will credit you 110% of the difference if you find tickets cheaper somewhere else in the same section and row. All that is available with Game Time. And this weekend, you can get a little extra cash in your pocket for Labor Day, because you can get 50% off tickets to the Dodgers Diamondbacks game on Labor Day in Arizona, exclusively on Game Time. There is a limited event. Get your tickets while they're last. It's a Labor Day special, so go check Game Time app. You can take the guesswork out of buying tickets, and you can get $20 off your first purchase if you use the code LOCKEDONMLB. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. I want to thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day. Make sure to find us wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe and get notified when our episodes are ready, or when we're going live like we are here right now on YouTube. And remember, if you need another listen in your day, if you just can't get enough baseball, Locked On MLB podcast with our pal Sully is available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. He's getting ready for the Fall Classic with his knowledge and humor and everything else that comes with Sully and the Locked On MLB podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, which also brings you Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles, 2 24/7 streaming channels bringing you the biggest news and stories from the sports world and the LA sports world. The Locked On Dodgers postcast with host Pete Fox is available on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel, live after most Dodger games, and on our audio feed. Now, let's talk about the actual base run there in the first inning to get the Dodgers up on the board. The Dodgers ended up going down in the second inning, but then Teoscar Hernandez comes up with the big home run. I guess the first thing I kind of want to talk about is just overall, between two teams that are in first place, it was a pretty sloppy game. The first 10 runs scored in the game, only 3 of them were earned. Dave Roberts kind of said he doesn't know what team was there playing in the second inning for the Dodgers. That was when the Will Smith play on a strikeout where he must have not thought he caught it or thought it was a foul tip into the glove or whatever it was. Didn't throw the ball. That was after a Max Muncy error. Those runs ended up scoring. Walker Buehler gets charged with them. The Orioles paid it back with a couple errors of their own. Where Corbin Burns gives up 6 runs, but only one of them ends up being earned. But yeah, Jeff, I mean, the Dodgers have been sloppy before. I'm sure the Orioles have been sloppy before. But for both of them to be sloppy in the same game was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it was, and it was just a weird inning. I was kind of wondering before the game, uh, the decision to have Muncy at third and Kike at first, when realistically, I would guess defensively, you're probably better with Kike at third and Muncy at first. And I assume the thinking was just that Muncy needs to get comfortable at third base, and so don't move him around since he's a starter. He's at his permanent position. Just let him play third and let Kike continue to be the utility guy. But I do think defensively, probably if Kike's at third and Muncy's at first, they get an out there. And Muncy hasn't played first base on any sort of regular basis since 2021. So, maybe he's just not comfortable there anymore. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, Roberts mentioned that fact that Muncy is going to be the third baseman every day, so they rather just keep him there, and that he hasn't really worked at first base, not even in practice the last couple of years. So.
All right, yeah, so that makes sense. The two things that I thought, but in that inning, it probably had an impact. Muncy is gonna short arm a throw once in a while, and like you and I were talking about before we started recording, if Freeman's at first base, Freeman probably scoops that, or at least knocks it down so the guy doesn't get second on it. And maybe if Freeman's at first base, he can stretch better on the Will Smith brain fart play too, and they get Mullins out at first. It was just little things that added up, and obviously Buehler probably needs to be better at overcoming that adversity. He did then make a couple bad pitches in that inning that got hit pretty hard. But all in all, yeah, that was that was bad defense that you wouldn't expect. And then the Dodgers scored a run on a ground ball to shortstop that Gunnar Henderson didn't make a play on. That I think you said it pretty well. For two first place teams, they sure didn't play like it the whole time.
Yeah, Gunnar Henderson. They showed the stat right after. He does have the third most errors at shortstop in the American League or in the whole league. I don't remember, but either way, not something you really truly expect. But let's talk about Walker Buehler. Walker Buehler was, even though he didn't get through 5 innings, even though he did give up some runs, as we mentioned, there was not a lot of help behind him defensively. But this is the best we've seen Buehler since that game earlier this year against somebody where he had all those strikeouts. But he had 12 swings and misses. He had, some of his pitches working. He was leading with the knuckle curve, had the four seam, the cutter, kind of went down in usage. And he still threw 6 pitches total in this game listed on Baseball Savant, but 3 of those pitches made up all but 4 or 5 of his pitches that he threw in the entire game. So, that stuff looked good. Velocity overall was down slightly, but the movement was up a little bit for that knuckle curve and that 4-seam fastball, which is, very slight for the 4-seam, but, just good to see that. And then he got swings and misses on the cutter, 5 on the cutter, 3 on the fastball, 4 on the knuckle curve. All in all, a pretty solid night against a weird offensive team in the Orioles, but again, a team that's battling for the best record in baseball and not, anything to slide against. You had a perfect view kind of behind home plate, but yeah, Jeff, what do you think of Buehler tonight?
Yeah, he looked really good. It was exciting. One thing that surprised me a little bit with the lefty heavy lineup that the Orioles put out there, that Buehler didn't throw the changeup very much, if at all. Like, I assume that was one of the pitches that he threw once or twice.
Yeah, he threw 1 changeup.
Yeah, and obviously a changeup from a right-handed pitcher to a lefty is a big tool when you trust your changeup. And so I was surprised, or at least intrigued, to notice that he didn't throw it very much at all. And so I don't know if I think that's something to watch going forward. Of like, did he just not feel it tonight, or has he abandoned the changeup? Is he trying to simplify? Because that would be a very reasonable thing. If you're struggling a lot, okay, let's simplify the repertoire. I have 3 pitches that I feel good about. I've got a fastball, a curve, and a cutter. Let's stick with those and see what we can do with those. Execute those 3 pitches rather than having a whole smorgasbord of pitches that you can't execute. So That's something I'm going to be watching his next time out. The fun part is we can actually talk about his next time out. Every other time Buehler has pitched this year, we've actually had to talk about, okay, are they going to let him do that again? And after tonight, I think it's clear, yeah, they're going to let him do that again.
Yeah, this is the first time that Walker Buehler started recently where I wasn't going to advocate for him not to make any more starts for the Dodgers. And, he's been very candid through all of this in the sense of, what's kind of going wrong or what he doesn't feel. He has been encouraged after his last couple of starts in the sense of he's feeling better. It's feeling better. It's feeling better. And he's obviously going to say that. He's not going to say, I feel worse. He did say after today's game that it was the best he's felt and the most encouraged he's felt basically since 2021. Obviously the caveat that he didn't pitch at all in 2023, but he mentioned that he hasn't really had that many starts since 2021 where he's felt the ball come out the way it did on Wednesday. So, in that sense, it's encouraging in, the total thing. I don't know. With the news that Tyler Glasnow might take a little longer than expected, Yoshinobu Yamamoto did throw his rehab game, went 2 innings, got a couple strikeouts, gave up a home run, threw about, I think, 31 pitches, about 23 of those for strikes. So encouraging. Obviously, we're going to have to see how he feels the next day or two. But yeah, I mean, if Walker Buehler can pitch like this, then you can start seeing flashes of, oh wow, Walker Buehler could make a postseason start.
Yeah, and obviously we're gonna need to see it more than once before we're quite ready to get on board with that. But like you said, after his last start, he said, "This is the closest I've been to being back to myself," and we didn't really see that on the field his last start. But I came into today thinking, okay, well, he felt something last time. He felt good about something last time, and so maybe there is something to build on. Somebody asked me how I was feeling about Buehler before the game, and I said, optimistic, but not sure if I have a good reason to be. And that's kind of how I felt going into the game. And yeah, it turns out we had a decent reason to feel optimistic. And again, we'll have to see it a couple times in a row before we're feeling super optimistic, but this was definitely better than the alternative. I said on Twitter yesterday, what we need is for the 2019 versions of both Buehler and Burns to show up. And that's kind of what we got, 2019 wasn't Buehler's best year, but it was a good year. And that's kind of what we got tonight. It wasn't his best, but it was a good start. And 2019 Burns gave up a lot of runs, and so did this guy. And, only one of the runs was earned?
Yeah, for Burns, yeah.
But, when you give up a 3-run home run, I'm sorry, there's more than one earned run. I understand the rules, the scorebook rules, but I've always felt like any home run should count as at least one earned run because you let the dude hit the ball over the fence, So Teo's 3-run homer, all 3 of those runs are unearned, but you know what? You gave up 3 on homer, dude.
Yeah. So again, it's a start-by-start case with a lot of these guys, with Clayton Kershaw, with Walker Buehler, with Bobby Miller. Like, we're gonna feel a certain type of way, and it's just a matter of the next start has to be your best start in order to have consideration to pitch. And the one thing is, and we're always gonna note this is, Glasnow and Yamamoto are out. These guys have the runway right now, at least for the next 2-3 weeks, to make their case and make those starts and see if they can get back to how they pitch. Well, Kershaw's been okay, but basically he'd have to be really, really lights out in order for us to be comfortable. Maybe seeing him in anything earlier than a game 4. Walker Buehler and Bobby Miller have the stuff to be able to do it, but it's just a matter of actually doing it. So
yeah, and as always, the offense showed up tonight, and the Dodgers won. That's what it takes.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about the Dodgers' new closer, Michael Kopech. He pitched and he threw a 1-2-3 ninth inning with a couple strikeouts. He's been lights out for the most part. Well, other than one outing, he's been lights out for the Dodgers. So let's show him some love. Let's give him a little bit more and talk maybe a little bit more about some other bullpen arms. So make sure to Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It's available in more than 30 states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. And it's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports because unlike other apps, it's you against the numbers. It's very simple. You get on the app and you will see players and stat projections, and you will decide if you think more or less on those stat projections. And if you put at least two together, you can put money down and see and hope that you win. You can put all the way up to 6 different players and stat projections down. You can mix and match between sports. So right now you could go college football, WNBA, MLB, and then maybe some NFL futures as we move forward. There's a lot of different combinations you can make to make, sports watching a little bit more exciting. And you can win up to 100 times your money because with as little as 4 correct picks, you can turn $10 into $1,000. And right now you can get $50 instantly if you sign up today and play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. You just make one bet or one play that's at least $5, and boom, you got $50 there in your PrizePicks account. So make sure to go check it out, and make sure to check it out all through the month of September because they have different NFL specialties. One, Caleb Williams passing yard gets you 1 win on PrizePicks every week in September. You combine a Caleb Williams 1 passing yard with some other thing that you feel confident about, and boom, you can have a winning lineup right there. If you think Tyreek Hill will get more than 90.5 yards in week 1, and you think Aaron Jones will run for more than 66.5 yards, then boom, put those two together and run your game on PrizePicks. So go download the PrizePicks app right now and make sure to check out everything that's going on. And if you use the code LOCKEDONMLB, you'll get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. If you are an everydayer, we appreciate you. Thank you for being an everydayer. Thank you for listening and watching and enjoying, hopefully enjoying, or if not, hey, watching's cool too, as long as you're watching. And remember, you can go beyond the podcast, become a Locked On Dodgers insider at joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. You can get text directly from us with any news, updates, thoughts, rumors, general Dodgers things that are going on. If you're not available to be on social media or scanning all these different apps to find out what's going on with the Dodgers, we got you covered. All you got to do is go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers and pay a few bucks a month. All right, Jeff. Let's talk about Michael Kopech, who we've talked about here and there, but not a full dedicated segment about him. And, he has went from maybe a little bit of a throw-in, it seemed, in the trade from the White Sox to, okay, this guy's pretty good and pitching very well, to, okay, this guy's a high leverage reliever, to, okay, this guy's closing out games for the most part. And he did that once again on Wednesday, coming into that 9th inning, getting a couple strikeouts and a pop-up to end that game. I think yesterday or whenever, one of the times he's pitched recently, that he has a little bit of an entrance too now.
Yeah, he's got, I don't know if it's a song, like a specific song, or if it's just I guess what I'm saying is I couldn't tell if this was a Kopech specific thing or hey, we're going to the 9th inning and the closer, whoever it is coming in. But yeah, it got the stadium rocking, and he is just a beast on the mound. Just like, I'm sure some of it is just the appearance. He's huge. He's got the long hair and the scraggly beard, and just looks like the kind of guy who you think, okay, I just want to swing and miss 3 times so I can go away before he murders me with his bare hands, And I think that's kind of what you want. Like in a closer, you want a guy who is physically intimidating. And oh yeah, by the way, he also throws 100. Just like with him pitching well, he's kind of everything you could want in a closer.
Yeah, and we talked about him going back to back, or when they had to give him a break, and every time he comes in, he is just like sweating like he just did a full workout. I don't know what if it's just he runs hot. I know a little thing about running hot, but I don't know if it's that he gets himself psyched up, whatever the case is. But he's now gone back to back these last 2 games with just 1 walk allowed, no hits, and 4 strikeouts in those 2 innings. coming off where he went in the eighth inning in that one game, gave up the run. So it was good to see him this lights out on a back-to-back. I don't think we will see him on Thursday if the Dodgers are in a close game, unless it's by necessity. But I like it. I like the fact that, they're getting him into these high leverage and or safe situations. I like the fact that they're going to, they just used him on back-to-back, even though he needed a breather the other day because he was kind of gassed. Whatever it is, I'm sure he's working on maybe some conditioning or different things. I'm sure the Dodgers have some ideas. But to be, for Tommy Edman to realistically be the prize for the Dodgers in that trade, Michael Kopech, the Dodgers didn't give up much. And now you have a lights out closer that can be a real game changer when it comes to October.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that the Dodgers knew what they were doing in getting Kopech. They were betting on him going to a situation where he's playing real baseball for the first time in a couple years, and that adrenaline would push him to be this, because he's always had the stuff. When he was still in the minor leagues, I remember when he got traded in the Chris Sale trade from the Red Sox to the White Sox back in, what was that, the 2016 winter meetings in Washington, D.C. I was at the winter meetings when he got traded, and it was huge news because Michael Kopech has always been a dude with an arm. And, the Dodgers bet on the stuff and bet that him playing meaningful baseball would help bring out that stuff, and it totally has paid off so far. I am interested to see what happens when they're ready to have Daniel Hudson pitch again. Hudson hasn't pitched in, 8 days or something, and he's not on the IL. Seems like between them DFAing Jason Hayward instead of phantom ILing him and just sitting Hudson instead of ILing him, seems like they've taken the league's crackdown on phantom IL stuff to heart. And Hudson is a high leverage reliever too. Trinan, they want to be a high leverage reliever. Evan Phillips is getting back to being a high leverage reliever, and so they have other options. But Kopech, he seems very happy in that closer role.
Yeah, and like you said, he fits the profile, and he's getting the job done, and that's huge for the Dodgers, obviously. And I wanted to kind of look at what if they've changed anything or if they've done anything specifically since getting him, or if it's just a matter of, hey, this is the way it goes. And I don't see anything, based on usage, I don't see anything too crazy. He's gotten the slider back in his game a little bit. It was kind of a mixed bag this season in terms of when he used the slider, but he's used the slider almost every game since he's been with the Dodgers, but it's been mostly fastball. And I don't think the fastball usage has actually been slightly lower than the rest of the season, but that's just because he's introduced the slider. He's also throwing the cutter a little bit, not more, just more consistently than he had before. So yeah, not too much changes, but like you said, I think it's just a matter of playing in games that matter, having that adrenaline. You already throw hard. I'm sure the Dodgers, the one thing I didn't get to check was, maybe where he's throwing the pitches rather than what pitches he's actually throwing might be a little bit different. The Dodgers like to use the fastball up in the zone. But yeah, it's obviously there's always going to be a thought in the back of your mind with any pitcher or any hitter. But with Michael Kopech right now, that thought is very, 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 very minimal in the back of my head.
Yeah, and I think it might be as simple as baseball's more fun when it's fun.
Yeah, and the Brian Brazier has been really good. I'm sure we'll talk about him in one of these future episodes, but he's been really good. He's been very efficient, not necessarily getting any strikeouts, but getting a lot of early in the count contact and been very good for the Dodgers. They've had some big innings. Anthony Bandit came in and made sure that Walker Buehler didn't have another run charged to him. So, the bullpen, this is one of those games where they can do, the bullpen didn't allow any runs, right?
Nope.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, Jeff, we made it through, and you didn't crash, and I was able to hear you the whole time. So, got anything else you want to add?
Yeah, just real quick, shout out to a couple everydayers. A guy named Joshua came up to me at the game on Tuesday night. After the game, he saw my jersey and said, "Are you Snydog?" And I said, "Yeah." And he gave me a big hug. First time I've been hugged at a game by an everydayer, so appreciate that. And Shout out to Steve and Stephanie and their son Levi, who are the reason I was at the game behind home plate tonight. All three of them are everydayers, and that's who I was sitting with tonight. So shout out to them. I love this podcast, and I love our listeners.
Yeah, that's dope. All right, cool. That's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day. Make sure to find us wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Make sure to check out Locked On MLB with our pal Sully. He's bringing you his humor and knowledge, getting you ready for the Fall Classic this October. So make sure to go check him out. Click the link in our description if you want to do that. You can go check out Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles, 24/7 streaming channels from the Locked On Podcast Network, bringing you the biggest news and stories from the sports world and the LA sports world. The Locked On Dodgers Postcast with host Pete Fox is available live after most Dodger games on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. You can follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Locked On Dodgers. We're more active on there these days, so make sure to go check that out. You can find Jeff on Twitter at Snydog. I'm at Vincent91. You can DM us for any questions or comments. You can also send those via email, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or via voicemail text at 323-863-5625. We're here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us. When you get in your car, if you're at home, tell your smart device, play podcast, Locked On Dodgers. Remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. Have a good one.
We'll talk to you tomorrow.